Hello, everybody who's on already. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. All right, it's just now the top of the hour. We're going to wait about another minute or so before we get started.
James, these are the people, you know, when you're waiting in class, right, to come up to the front, and, and then a couple of minutes we'll get the, if you were back in my day, I'd be running in and then sitting in the back aisle.
Yep. That's one of the things I learned training is there was always somebody that's going to show up first day 45 minutes early. I appreciated the enthusiasm. I just had to make sure I was there ahead of them to be able to prepare. All right, so it looks like we are ready to go. Welcome everybody to our webinar, The Secret to Proactive Customer Service with ServiceNow CSM. Before we get started too much, I do want to go ahead and apologize in advance that my voice is a little shaky today. I'm recovering from a bit of a cold, which has my voice in rough shape. So if you see me lunging for my mute button, please don't mind me. I'll be back momentarily. So with that, this webinar, we're going to focus a bit more on process and strategy than we are on the technical aspects of ServiceNow CSM. There's a lot of material out there for the technical capabilities, and we're happy to meet with somebody one-on-one to talk through those. So if that's what you came here looking for today, I'd ask that you listen through to this, because this is probably as or more important than the technical capabilities, is understanding where the true value lies in CSM. Much in the way that ServiceNow platform enables a lot of IT organizations to run more efficiently with processes based somewhat on the ITIL methodology. Customer service management can similarly enable not just customer support organizations, but pardon me, the entire business to run more efficiently and to improve customer satisfaction and loyalty, and at the same time greatly reduce support costs, and everybody wins. The ServiceNow platform can be a force multiplier when it comes to implementing true organizational transformation, and we're going to talk a little bit about how that gets done on this webinar. But before we get too far into it, let me tell you what's in this for you, aside from the great information. Everybody who is registered today is automatically entered in a drawing for a $250 Amazon gift card. So just for being here, we will draw a name from the attendee list. So good luck to everybody that's on there. I think they said that the presenter was not available, so not eligible. So we're going to have to have some words with management about that.
All right, James, I'm going to log off at this point, I guess.
Well, yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. But before we get into the material, some introductions on who is presenting to you today. Myself, James Devine, I'm the director of the customer service management sub-practice here at Covestic. I've been working with the CSM product since its inception, which was about 6 years ago now, which makes me feel a bit old. And my passion, and I do get passionate when talking about CSM, you can ask people who listen to me, is helping organizations really make significant transformations with ServiceNow, not just implementing a lift and shift tool replacement. That's not what drives my satisfaction from my work effort. I've had the pleasure of working with John Gubitayo, my co-presenter here, on many CSM implementations, and I'll let him introduce himself. Off to you, John.
Thanks, James. Good afternoon, everyone. John Gubitayo. I work with James in the customer service management practice here at Covestic. And as James mentioned, we've been working together on tons of CSM projects now for about 5 years. And we really look forward to sharing some of our experience and best practices, if you will, for kind of getting the best out of customer service management.
All right, thanks, John. Well, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but it wouldn't be a good webinar if I didn't at least tell you a little bit about who Covestic is. If you're not familiar with us already, we are an elite services partner with ServiceNow. We were founded in 2001, more than 200 employees in the Covestic sphere, and I'll tell you a bit more about that in a moment. We've wrapped up more than 300 projects with ServiceNow, and as of yesterday, our CSAT was a 4.7 on the 5-point scale. I'm a big fan of the newly revised 5-point scale versus the old 10, because we're usually 9, 7, 9, 8. But to me, one of the most important stats on this page is the 90% return business. When we engage with the customer, it's not just to do one-offs. Typically, it's to do a longer-term roadmap. And while we don't require that of anybody, it's never part of what we require of our customers. It is something we see have a lot of benefit for customers, and they often choose to come back and continue to implement the changes that are going to make big changes in their organization. When people who are outside of the industry ask me who I work for, I say, you've probably never heard of my company, but you've heard of the companies we work with. Just a few of them that you might see here: Starbucks, Microsoft, T-Mobile. Those are some of our biggest customers. We have a pretty wide array of customers that we work with in a few different capacities, both managed services and implementations. The one thing I forgot to note on the previous page, because it's still fairly new, is that in December of last year, Kovestick was acquired by Milestone Technologies, that is a managed services provider worldwide, and they are backed by HIG Capital. So it is a very well-financed company that has a lot of resources, and they work with a lot of the Fortune 200 type organizations. So it's a very great opportunity for us to be able to expand our reach to their customers, and for us to also be able to offer some of what their expertise brings, which we're still learning what all of that entails, but it's all very exciting. So it's a very big move in the evolution of what Covestick is. The one thing that has stayed the same is that we are still the same boutique shop that we were before the acquisition. There's been no disruption to the way that we operate as far as our ability to drive projects and have delivery assurance. So that was one of the things that everybody worries about during the acquisition, and we were our owner was very intent on making sure that we were not going to damage our brand in any way. All right, so enough about that. It's time to get to the meat and potatoes of why people came today. So pop quiz. Probably didn't tell anybody there's going to be a pop quiz today, but here's the question. Do you agree with this statement? Survey responses we get from post-issue from customers is the best metric we have for measuring the customer support we provide. Yes or no? Well, The answer is probably no. And there's some definition of terms in there. Customer support, if that's all we're doing is customer support, that's fine. Then yes, you can measure your customer support capabilities that way. But by the time that you have already, the customer has already had to engage with you, you've already spent money. You had to spend hard dollars on the support costs, the infrastructure that handles the customer's query. You've also lost some goodwill from the customer because you've disrupted their life in some unexpected way where the service or product wasn't meeting their expectation. So the question that every C-level exec should be asking of their teams, why are we so complacent about waiting for the impact of our foul-ups to impact our customers? And why aren't we doing anything about it? Well, I'm going to show a quote that everybody knows. Pretty sure everybody on the call can finish this one. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So back to the title of this webinar, what is the secret to proactive customer service with ServiceNow? You guessed it, prevention. Standard customer service is when we have adequate tools to engage with the customers when they need assistance. Good is when we can take what we learned from them and put it to some positive use upstream. Best is when we can avoid the customer needing support in the first place. Companies that can do that enjoy higher profits and better customer loyalty when compared to those that provide great customer support. That's what customers often want. And there are two books that I'm going to be pulling some stuff from during this call that I wanted to make sure that we talk about. These are both available on Amazon. The Effortless Experience has been one of the core books on customer support for customer service for several years now. It's a great research book on what customers truly want versus what companies think they're providing. One of the early quotes in the book is 80% of companies think they provide world-class customer service or above average customer service, but only 20% of customers agree with them. The other one is a more recent book, Upstream, that is focused on the same thing that we've been focused on with customer service management for several years now, and that's the ability to get out of the loop of just doing break fix and stop doing the wrong things faster. And we see a lot of tooling, a lot of things that we see in the marketplace are just centered around doing the wrong things faster versus making really significant strides to prevent issues from happening in the first place. Okay, so a typical customer journey. This is a standard slide. You see this used all throughout the industry. Most organizations either say or pretend to say that they want to go from being reactionary to operational to strategic, meaning if you are reactionary, you're being pulled behind the boat. If you're operational, you're driving the boat. And if you're strategic, you're pulling the boat. What we see, though, is that most organizations really get caught up here, and there's a lot of things that prevent them from being able to move past reactionary, even into the operational stage. And there's a lot of reasons that this can happen, but one of the biggest starts right here. The challenge of the org chart. Operationally, most organizations are set up along these lines. This is the natural outcome of growth. These are also the biggest impediment to holistic improvement. This is what creates systemic tunnel vision. The entire team in customer service is charged with offering the best level of support they can at the lowest cost. They can control the training, the capabilities of the support agents, as well as the technology they use to interact with customers. What they generally lack is the ability to impact or even see the upstream causes of issues that lead their customers to contact them in the first place. Here's an example. Software development team for a SaaS provider is adding a new feature to the flagship product. They build it and test it and release it. The infrastructure team deploys it for production across multiple data centers using their siloed project management tools. They perform UAT, they've done everything right according to the guidelines that they're measured on. Customers start calling customer service right away because they found a glitch in the new software that somehow evaded testing. In most organizations, the agent is the furthest person away from what the root cause is, and they are working out of a CRM system that is disconnected from the development team. All the customer support agent can do is handle the intake and escalate to people outside of support, sometimes with a swivel chair, oftentimes through email, or sometimes with an integration if they're lucky. Either way, they're still having to go to a different system that they don't have any access to be able to get the actual resolution that the customer is seeking. Lost in this example is the ability to measure the true cost of a customer impact on the bug. When your people and your systems do not have the visibility to see the full life cycle, there is little opportunity to take advantage of this opportunity to affect true improvements that would prevent the same thing from happening the next time. This is at the heart of problem management and continual service improvement, which are core aspects to the ITIL methodology that ServiceNow has been using for a long time. Okay, so let's talk real world use cases here. So we can give some examples, and hopefully some of these will resonate. I'm going to queue up some use cases, and I'm going to ask John G to chime in with his thoughts on some of these. All right, first one, reactionary. We have a case submitted on the portal. Customer Cindy has an issue, so they log on to our support portal. They submit a case. The case is received by Agent Pat, who performs triage, attempts to solve it, but finally escalates it to level 2. At level 2, Agent Sandra receives the case, provides the solution, marks the case resolved. Customer Cindy gets the proposed solution and is satisfied. So this is a typical break fix scenario. John, what are the opportunities that often get missed here?
Yeah, thanks, James. So a lot of times, this is where a lot of our, initially at least, the projects kind of live. So this is our common scenario. It's this reactionary scenario of everyone submitting something through a portal, case getting created, and then the knowledge article. So some of the initial opportunities we have for improving this is if we can get smarter routing. So fortunately, ServiceNow is giving the customer service management application what we call advanced work assignment. And so we can put better intelligence in place to kind of assess that case when it comes in through the portal and logically route that case based on maybe some of the skills of the agents. Maybe there's some time zone considerations or language considerations. So we can leverage the automated workflow system to kind of route that case properly the first time to the right agent. So that's one of the things we can do. The other thing we can do is if we've got a rich knowledge base out in the service portal, hopefully we can deflect that user from having to actually create the case. So they could leverage the knowledge base article and hopefully self-serve themselves and fix their issue without having to interact with our customer support team.
Yeah, John, that self-service option is definitely, it's half of a win. We didn't prevent the customer from being disrupted, but we did reduce the cost of support, and we were able to get them on their way faster. So that's good. That's something we can focus on, even without having to go down the entire customer journey path. All right, so let's talk about this second use case. Our support desk is very good at troubleshooting. For the past 6 months, about 30% of their time has been spent on routine fixes. Most of these couldn't be cured with a knowledge article, so each time the customer has had to open a case, apply the same resolution, the agent has to apply the same resolution and propose a resolution. This is fine, but as we all know, that these types of cases will sit in a queue longer than their high priority ones. Plus, each one of them no matter how simple it is to resolve, constitutes an inconvenience to one of our customers. Ultimately, these low priority easy fix solutions have a disproportionate impact compared to the ones that truly need our agent's attention. But while these are high in numbers and not in severity, they're often overlooked when it comes to finding upstream fixes. So,
Yeah.
any thoughts here?
Yeah, that's true, James. So, we've always heard, we kind of know this on the front desk, the customer support desk, the squeaky wheel often gets the oil, right? So, but a lot of times these are distracting us. So they don't, they're kind of distracting us from the higher priority cases that we should be processing for the team. And so when the customer is reporting to this, since they're lower priority, they might not get actioned as quickly. So the customer's perception may be, man, it's taking them a while to get back to us related to this particular case. But what the customer may not know from behind the scenes is, of course, our team is potentially firefighting and putting out issues in the back end. And so this lower priority case, which we're able to kind of resolve, doesn't get as much attention as it should. But the ability for us to kind of get to those higher level cases, that's where ServiceNow kind of shines. So we're able to leverage the ITSM capabilities of problem management for root cause, as well as the newer continual service improvement applications within ServiceNow. So we can kind of address the higher issues that are upstream, so that hopefully we deflect these cases with the lower priority from the customers having to report to us. So that's kind of our strength within ServiceNow, is we can leverage that ITSM to kind of identify those breaks, but fix them, but improve them at the same time. So hopefully we don't see them again.
Absolutely. And this concept, it can't be a one-off. It has to be systemic. It has to be ingrained in the way that people operate. It has to be something that people are evaluated on. If they are only doing break fix and they're only swatting cases down as quickly as they can, and they're reducing time to resolution, they're reducing call hold times, they're improving their CSAT scores, that's all great, but we're still incurring cost. If we are doing things to improve, either that's through creating knowledge articles or self-serve options, or if there's some way we can go even further, then we are taking a little bit about the lesson learned from that particular case and applying it to future use. The biggest challenge that comes into being able to do this type of improve goes back to the org chart. The people that are seeing these trends usually don't have the ability to impact what the root cause is. And that goes back to making sure that there are cross-functional organizations that can see across product development, engineering, customer support, where they can be focused on upstream root cause that constitutes disruptions to the customer. Because ultimately, what we're trying to get to is we're trying to move from this operational stage into the strategic stage, where we are preventing these from happening in the first place. Let's talk about this scenario. Every day at noon, one of our customers sees performance issues with a SaaS product that we provide. They haven't contacted support yet, but the issue is recurring, and it could impact their likelihood of renewing their contract if they perceive that our application is not performing well. If we are really dedicated to achieving effortless, there can be no better way to prevent issues from happening than to prevent issues from happening in the first place. And this means the coordination of a lot of different departments, customer support, operations, product development, to identify opportunities to prevent. And this is a dream scenario that we've actually seen happen. A virtual host automatically allocates resources when a monitoring tool recognizes performance issues, and that can be outside of ServiceNow or within ServiceNow. Consideration can then be given to the account and the SLAs for that for the impacted customers. Now that's where there's no other tool in the market that I'm aware of besides ServiceNow that can do this. This can take your IT operations, and if that's part of your customer product, if your technology is your product, then having the ability to tie what's going on in the data center to specific customers can give you visibility into opportunities that have never been seen before. So here we can leverage the install base item, and we can apply either an increase of resources or restart a service or whatever the resolution is based off of the orchestration that's behind that. And then we can alert the account manager that we've taken proactive steps to prevent disruptions. So this, in turn, instead of this becoming a negative, this gives the account manager the opportunity to let the customer know that they've been proactively monitoring and resolving issues even before they reported them. If that's not a way to create some goodwill at customer renewal time, I don't know what is. John, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is kind of the heart of it for me, at least. The capability of ServiceNow to do this proactive case management. And so I was sometimes some of us will get the notifications from ServiceNow, so they're leveraging this themselves. They're saying, "Hey, we recognize that your semaphores were a little pegged out, and so we proactively, through our monitoring, recognize that situation with your instances, and we've gone ahead and proactively corrected that for you so that you weren't impacted, right? So your uptime was still good, and you weren't disrupted by this by your service being disrupted." And so the capabilities of ServiceNow to, again, like James mentioned, leverage the information that you already have from your ITSM side of the house So the changes that you may know that are occurring to particular items, any sort of problems that might be active within your environment, having that communication from your front line case agents, being able to have that visibility to your back-end office in a certain sense, to your infrastructure, that's really where we get the power of this proactive case management. And we're able to provide quicker turnaround for issues, and like James mentioned, the upstream factor, right? So we prevent it before it ever impacts you. That's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah, this is why I'm so such a proponent of using ServiceNow customer service management, both the process and the tooling in the high-tech B2B environments. And what constitutes a high-tech B2B company continues to grow because most organizations now, somehow their operations of their infrastructure has a direct impact on customers. So if what's going on with the network guys could actually impact your customers, this is the only tool that's in the marketplace that can provide that type of seamless end-to-end connection. And that's one of the things that I love about this in the high-tech B2B operations centers. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about immediate actions that you can take today that will start you on that journey. It doesn't require hiring Covestic. It doesn't even require implementing ServiceNow. But the first thing that you need to do is focus on the org chart, realign the metrics and your motivators. When somebody has spent their entire career in customer service working in a CRM environment and all they've known is break fix, it's really hard for them to see the value that they should be contributing to something, to fixing something in operations. They want to reduce their costs. They want to improve their CSATs. They want to do all these things that apply to the customer service board, but rarely do they have motivation to contribute to upstream. So that's why we need to institutionalize ways that we can inspire people to look for upstream solutions. We can also find the hidden correlations, and there are lots of them, and that's why you need to have the data that can show you that. And that's another one of the beautiful things about ServiceNow, and the whole Better Together story, is that when you have IT service management and operations management and customer service management and even HR and field service all running on the same platform, that means you're able to share tasks across the organization without having to swivel chair or go through integrations where there's always going to be degradation of data. You also have the ability to see what are the trends, and we start leveraging some of the capabilities of performance analytics and AI. You can start to see where those correlations are that you've never seen before, and that's what can lead to significant opportunities to make big changes in your customer support and go from just customer support to customer happiness. And then focus on prevention. Customer enablement is second. Yes, we want to do call deflection, but if we're just focusing on call deflection and we're trying to pawn them off to knowledge articles or chatbots, then we're not really solving the root cause. We're still disrupting the customer. So if we really want that goodwill, that reduced cost, the customer loyalty, we have to focus on the upstream, the prevention, the proactive opportunities to prevent the customer from being disrupted in the first place. And that's one of the things that comes from the CSM processes as well as the tool set that comes with ServiceNow. Okay, so with that, that's the end of the material that I had for today. So let me put it out here. If there are any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll try to respond to these offline. So if you want to put your question in the chat, what we see a lot of times when it comes to customer service questions is that it's very industry specific. So we don't, we don't want to spend a lot of time on things that are specific to industries that not everybody's listening for. So we'll try to reach out and respond to those individually. So give just a minute for that. And also, I want to thank everybody for taking a little bit of time out of your day to attend yet another webinar. I know a lot of people are kind of overspending time on Zoom calls and webinars these days because we do an awful lot of it. But I definitely appreciate you signing in. And if anything that I have said today has triggered some curiosity and you'd like to talk further about the opportunities to get to the operational and strategic parts of your roadmap, we'd love to talk about that. We're definitely not going to be high pressure sales, but we're just going to talk about opportunities that could exist. And every organization has a lot that can be gained from breaking down those silos and the barriers and improving the interactions across the org. All right. So with that, I'm going to say good luck to everybody who is currently in for the drawing, and I think we will be picking somebody later today, and we'll be hearing from our marketing staff that if you are the lucky winner. And I hope to talk to all of you soon.